Thank you. What I would like to talk about today is this idea of changing our mind, fixing our mind, our mindset, what's going on with our thoughts, our story, changing that with our mind, which is sometimes quite out of balance and unable to step out of overwhelm and realign and remember our root, remember our how we replenish. So this is something that I've learned from studying Chinese medicine theory, that you cannot solve the problems of the mind with the mind. The mind is too out of balance, too squirrely to do that. So if you are someone, and I'm speaking to my clients because this is typically who I work with, who have been seeking a lot of different either spiritual teachings or a therapy approach, which is totally awesome. It can be, all of those things can be very useful. But many people have found that they can only get so far, like their mind, they can understand the direction, the teaching. They can even see the rationale behind it. Or maybe not. Maybe they're very resistant to the rationale behind it. So doing it, living it, embodying it becomes an obstacle. They're not able to do it, or they believe they're not able to do it. And you've heard me say before, I'm sure, that we have a choice in how we respond to things and how we act. So this is true. I believe this to be true. I believe it to be a truth. However, many times we have had things happening in our life, or a period of time in our life, that we are actually not able to choose the reaction. We don't have enough qi. We have not conditioned and practiced our yi, our calm, our compassion, in order to call on those places. And so when we try to fix that with our mind, we just come against the same roadblocks. We keep repeating the same patterns. So the way that we do bring our mind into balance, and to be able to reach that place of going with the flow, being able to ride the waves without feeling sick, hopefully, feeling that anchored place at the bottom of the ocean, the seaweed that flows with the current and the waves. The way we get there is to practice with our body, feeling that state more. When we do this, when we change the qi and the energy in our bodies, the mind follows. Sometimes quickly, sometimes in that moment. I'm sure you've experienced that after a meditation practice, or a yoga class, or going for a walk, taking a hot bath. You've experienced getting a perspective, or calming down, or coming to a place of, oh, that was no big deal. That place is different from the place where we just check out, where we would just want to numb ourselves. And we might do it with, oh, well, you name it, distraction, all kinds of distraction that sometimes is destructive to our bodies, or sometimes just maybe it's destructive to our relationships, binge watching TV, substance abuse, overeating, procrastination, even over and over and over. That we choose that check out place, and then we talk ourselves into that we don't care. We're just going with the flow. We're not looking at that problem, that thing. It can be useful where your heart is when you choose that, when you set a boundary for something. It matters. That's more than we're going to get into on this call today. But for now, what I did want to talk about was changing the state in your body And then also allowing your energy to fill back up in a very powerful way. So often we recognize in Western culture that changing our, like doing something different to meet the stress that we're under helps. Having a glass of wine, having like a session where you sort of dump everything with a friend or with the therapist, like we can feel better. So useful, like not knocking it at all. However, if we find ourselves going right back into da 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 da, we may not be getting anywhere. We may not be actually evolving if that is indeed what we are choosing to do. So there's nothing wrong with staying where you are. I want you to know that, and even invite yourself to have compassion for other people who might choose to stay where they are. However, if you would like to evolve in how you respond to what is happening, where your emotional state is, how you are being, begin to do practices where you are in your body fully. You start to practice letting your body change its state, the body, not the mind so much. The mind can follow, and that's what usually happens. And as you get more and more practice in changing the state of the body, what can happen in the mind can happen in an instant. You notice you're ruffled about something, did not like what is happening, anger came up, shame, grief, guilt, whatever. And you recognize it. And because your body has that practice, it knows how to fill up. You have the stores of extra chi. You change it in the minute, in the second, or maybe in 10 seconds or in 10 minutes. You start to realize that it doesn't have to take so long. There are many techniques for doing this. You all know, or most of you would know, since this is being shared with a larger group, that I practice Pangu Shengong and I'm certified to teach that. And it's the foundation for working with me intensely, is understanding that I can share with you all kinds of neat ideas and neat stories, personal and otherwise, about evolution and healing. However, building up your own foundation, filling it in a way that elevates your heart and soul. If you aren't able to do that, all of the books, the spiritual teachers, all of that will only get you so far. Well, it could take you far, but it might take a really long time. And there are all sorts of different paths to healing. And when you're ready, you'll know. When you're ready for the next step, you'll know, and you'll have an opportunity. And if you don't take that opportunity, you'll have another chance. So it's okay. So relax about it. So what I would like to do today is to not spend a lot of time with the words, but to spend some time in a practice. So I'm going to use Medical Qi Gong Protocol that I have learned over the years, combined with following my own yi, my own intention, which is, and this is my heartfelt wish, that all people may be free of suffering and know the root of happiness. And so when I follow that and I tap into that, it doesn't feel to me like anything goes wrong. And actually, I don't really have the judgment that anything goes wrong. It's taken me a while to get there, but I find that it's much easier served that when it seems like on my outside circumstances that things don't go well, I am able to look at that and learn from it, spend no time or very little time beating myself up. It's not any use for that. Wishing I was different. No, that's not useful. And I can learn from the thing that went wrong or where I made a decision that I would change the next time. Many of you know that I sail, and I'm on a boat that's not mine, oftentimes. And this weekend we were sailing, and it was very high wind, with very strong gusts of wind, and the situation, I had not been in something quite that intense before, and I felt very calm. It was tiring. It was a lot of work to keep control of the boat, and the waves were a lot, and the wind was a lot, and there was a squall line coming, a line of heavy rain coming our way. We actually couldn't tell if there was lightning in it or not from where we were, but it was heavy rain coming our way. And we were going to marina to dock. And we have docked many times and have a plan. And as we got to the marina, about 10 minutes before we got there, the rain started, heavy rain. And that was fine. We had gear for it. And then the more of the squall line part came upon us. We were told by the marina that they would not help us dock during that. And we have docked before and felt confident and decided to go ahead and dock. And we had a plan. We pulled up. It was beautiful. I did my part. The captain did his part. And in the first 30 seconds, it looked great. And then things shifted out of the wind. We changed our minds in the second about how to do it. And then things went bad pretty quickly. Bad, this external judgment. Yeah, it looked it looked bad. It was one of those dockings where, yes, things just turned in a second, and my mind went a little bit like, oh my gosh, I'm on the dock, he's on the boat, there's all hell's breaking loose with the wind and the rain, and the boat is not secure, and there are other boats around. And we got it under control, and we docked, and it was fine. We tied up. Some people did, after we were all set, some people came and docked. And we know that we learned something from that time. It would be very, very easy to go back over what happened in that moment. And if you will, use this docking situation as a metaphor, to go back over in that moment and focus on all of the things that went wrong, throw each other under the bus, beat ourselves up, tell everyone what a terrible job we did on the pier, and just in general, berate ourselves for the what happened at the dock in those 4 minutes, whatever it was. However, we decided not to do that. It was a decision. So we looked at, well, this happened, here was our plan, and we looked at the places where it went wrong. And the choice was to do this with an open heart, with our eyes wide open, accepting where we made mistakes. Also being appreciative that, nobody got hurt, nothing got damaged, nobody died. It was okay. And then we processed through what would we do differently next time. We acknowledged fully what the emotions were in the moment, and we went on to have a very lovely afternoon. The rain was over 2 seconds later. And one of the things that we thought about was we could have just waited for the rain to pass a few minutes, and besides trying to dock them, you live and you learn. So how will you live and learn? How will you do that? Because there have been times in my life where something like that, metaphorically speaking, would have happened, and it definitely would have ruined my day. Things that were a lot less intense than that. Rethinking something I said, choice I made. And in the end, I know that the ability, which we all have, to process that situation and any other situation where I'm like, that's not what I thought was going to happen. How could I have done that differently? That can be done in a couple of different ways, right? That you can do it in a way that's of a berating nature. You can do it in a way that's loving and constructive. So being able to do that, I know, comes from building up my own chi, appreciating, trusting. The trust is a big one, and knowing that I have choice in every moment. So what I would like to do now is to continue with the protocol that I shared, that I said I would share. So if you can, and if you are in a place where you can't sit still for 20 minutes, less than 20 minutes, about 15 minutes, if you're in a place that you can't do that and listen to the guidance in my voice, then just mark where we are in time on the video and come back later. You can do it then. You can do it again and again and again. But for today, what I would like to work with are the places and the stories that this week are coming up in a big way, and they feel like resistance. So these could be stories that you have about things that are happening outside of yourself. So if you are noticing that you're spending a lot of time in say, disgust, frustration, overwhelm. Many of you I know pick up so easily what in your body, what you're feeling from the people around you. Or even, they don't even have to be exactly around you. You can, like you should not watch the news or not watch the news much, and still you feel it. So that could be something that's uncomfortable at this point in time, concern, worry, etc. So whatever that is, I would invite you to pick the thing that feels like it is of the most resistance, the thing, the story that's today keeping you from finding that place of calm, finding that place of flow in the body. So you are using your mind here. So I want you for a moment to put your finger on the story. So just this week, some stories that I've heard are, I really, really have an issue with control. And when I don't have control, I don't like it. I've heard stories of, I just want this to be over and I'm going to hide until it does. Stories of extreme frustration and disgust. Stories of, and they come from all different directions. This is not like a one political side thing, just in case your mind went there. It is. It's everywhere. There are lots of escape talk. Escaping is fine in the terms of boundary with love, but escaping and shutting out, head in the sand, is can be a pattern that's not life affirming for you. depends. That's something to talk about one-on-one. So, what is the thing that feels like it's giving you the most resistance to feeling flow in the body now, in the body? So have your mind on that story. And then begin to drop. Inhale, close your eyes. You can stay seated. And then exhale. With each inhale, notice how the body inflates, where it inflates. The movement of the diaphragm, expansion in the lungs, the spreading of the collarbone, shoulder blades, perhaps as you take a deeper breath. The breath gets deeper, more full. And now, as you imagine that breath filling up the lungs, exhale and notice what is supporting you now physically: the chair, the floor, the bed, the couch. Inhale. Exhale, notice all the places your body is connected to something that is physically supporting you. Breathe into that. And with each exhale, imagine that you are passing the breath through the object that's supporting you, down into the foundation of the building and into the earth. Inhale, fill up. Exhale into the earth. Now, change that visualization and invite you to imagine that breath is coming in through the top of the head, opening up this acupressure point. It's on the very top of the head, supports the center of the brain, among any other things, the functions of the structures that are in the center of the brain. Breathe in through the top of the head into that space. Maybe you even feel physical sensation there as we focus in that place. Inhale, imagine the center of the brain lighting up and the structures that are found there. Imagining that if there's any out of balance, energy, even substance, then on the exhale, it's allowed to clear, expanding the breath out in all directions from your head. Inhale through the top of the head. Exhale all directions. Now, still breathing in through the top of the head, bring the breath down through the center of the brain into the neck. Inhale, let the breath expand out in all directions from the neck. So inhale, charging up, balancing the vertebrae that are found in the neck, all of the cervical spine, thyroid, all the veins and arteries and nerves. Exhale out in all directions. We have so much that we hold in the base of our skull and in the neck. Imagine that maybe doing this breath can release some of that. No attachment to whether that happens or not physically for you, just wondering. Still inhaling through the top of the head. Bring the breath down through the center of the brain, down through the neck, and all the way down into the heart. Fill up the whole area from the sternum, top of the sternum, the clavicles, collarbones, down through the rib cage. Filling up the lungs and the heart, thymus gland, and all the other structures found there. Exhale out, expanding light out in all directions. Light in breath. Imagining as you pull down from the top of your head, light breath into the center of the brain, into the neck, into the heart. Expand out in all directions from the heart. And pull it down lower. Pull it down lower into the pelvic girdle. Putting light attention on the organs found there. Inhale. All the time noticing any physical sensation that comes up as I'm speaking, not attaching to it, just noticing it. Inhale. Exhale out in all directions. Now bringing that breath in through the top of the head. Bring the breath all the way down through the center of the brain, the neck, the heart. On the inhale, down to the pelvic girdle. And then exhale, it flows out through the pelvic floor and out and around your whole body. As you inhale again, that breath that you just exhaled and brought up, it enters, that light, that breath enters again through the top of the head, coming from above, also coming around you. So you're being encircled by this breath that you've brought in and pulled through you. Exhale, bring the breath up and around, and then inhale again, top of the head. And in your mind's eye, imagine that that pattern continues. Inhaling through the top of the head, exhaling, bringing breath out through the pelvic floor and up and around to the top of the head again. Then inhaling, bringing in new light breath along with the breath that you're circulating through. Notice how your body's feeling now. No attachment for any certain sensation. And now keeping that going, imagining that while you also inhale through the top of the head, you're also inhaling through the pelvic floor. From the earth, grounded, solid, rooted energy that supports you all the time. Inhale from the earth, up through the pelvic floor, through the heart, the neck, the center of the brain, and up and out the top of the head. Exhaling out the top of the head and bringing that breath around again to the pelvic floor. And as you inhale, start your inhale again, pull up breath from out and around your body and from the earth up through the center of the body, up out the top of the head. So you're creating this lovely ball around yourself of light and breath, still nourishing it from above and from below the earth. So noticing what you're feeling in the body now as you focus in this way. No attachment, just notice. There's no certain way to feel or no wrong way to do this. It's just an invitation, it's just a practice, supported with love and compassion. And a collective wish that this time be supportive for you. Inhale. Exhale. The process continues. The breath pattern continues. Inhaling through the top of the head, bringing the breath down through the body, and exhaling out the pelvic floor. At the same time, the inhale comes up from the earth, bringing that earth energy, that yin energy up through the brain and out the top of the head and around. So as you imagine this, energy flows with attention. It is our intention that organizes and charges that energy. Come back to feeling what this is like in the body. If there are any places that feel like the flow is not accessible or happening, you notice the mind getting chatty at all, bring back to the visualization that I've talked you through, inhaling through the top of the head. That other stuff will be there later, inhaling through the base of the pelvic floor, bringing the breath up, bringing the breath down, and then exhaling out the top of the head and the pelvic floor and around. Any places that feel stuck, just be curious to see if sitting in this relaxed way, if you feel any tension building in the body, you can move and wiggle a little bit too. Let it go. It's not necessary to sit totally still. It may feel even more organic to move a bit. I won't speak for a few minutes. Just continue to breathe and notice. Staying present, yet relaxed. Now come back to your own breath. You can let drop away the visualization that we were focusing with and just come back to noticing your own breath pattern, how the breath feels in the body now. So in this time and all time, when there's a lot going on externally in the world that's big, in your smaller world, whether it be internal stuff or external stuff, it's absolutely useful to move, to be present in nature fully, to put on a song that you love and dance in a crazy way, wiggle in a crazy way in your living room. Pangu Shengong practice, if you know it. If you were one of my clients, you absolutely know it. So you should be doing it. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. I invite you to do it because, like nothing else, it allows you to fill up. Of course, having support of someone who is unattached to your stories, free of judgment about the things that have happened, that holds space for you in a powerful way, that of course is useful. I know in my own life that I'm so grateful to the teachers that I've had, the friends, colleagues who have been able to hold that space for me, even when they had no idea they were doing it. And as you are building that muscle, move the body. And when you do, set all that stuff aside. When you say, I just have to go for a walk, or I just need to go ride my bike, or I'm going for a hike, decide to leave those things behind while you do that, or when you dance it out, whatever, when you do Shengong, Tai Chi. This flow, going with the flow. Sometimes if our mind isn't able to do that, we can find another place that we can do it. So this can be sitting still somewhere outside. It can be your back deck, your apartment porch, focusing fully on what you hear, noticing a couple of ants, watching circle of life in some way. Be fully present in something that is outside of yourself. Not another human being's stories, but something that has no story. One of the things that was so cool to me during when the pandemic started, when it became a worldwide event, and all of a sudden, truly, like it felt like it was all of a sudden, we were all in this together, right? All the humans pretty much on the planet were affected by that, even if not directly, indirectly. And I would see I'd see a hawk in the sky, or I'd see dolphins down at the river, or watch my dog. My dog probably had an idea that something was going on because the anxiety of my kids was pretty high. And I would think, gosh, they have no idea. Those ants have no idea what's going on right now. So I'm just going to watch them. Or that tree, or the daffodils coming up in March. They had no idea. They just kept doing what they do. So the experience of doing it, there's a reason why people take walks, right? So use that time in a different way, perhaps, than you have. I so appreciate those of you who are in the program. That is wrapping up right now and starting another edition soon. And I appreciate those of you who are listening to this who are either former clients or following me in some other way. I hope this has been helpful. I can't see any comments from this place that I'm sharing this from. But if you do want to post something about reactions, resistance, things that you noticed, I will eventually see them. So let me know. Let me know how I can support you. And I wish you well. May you be free of suffering and know the root of happiness. Ciao.